Díoghuid gach duine, tá míad fós ag foghlaim faoin Scoil, we're still learning about school, agus an seachtain seo tá míad chun foghlaim faoi cúpla rudaí a aonmuid sa seomra ranga. So we're going to learn about some of the things we'll find in the classroom. Cúpla rudaí a aonmuid sa seomra ranga. Ar dús, clór bán. Clór bán, whiteboard. Clór bán idirghníomhach. Clór bán idirghníomhach. Interactive whiteboard. Ná déan darmid na focail a rá os ord. Don't forget to say these words out loud yourself. So, clór bán idirghníomhach. Board an bhúnseora. Board an bhúnseora. You'll see there's a slight difference to the spelling of moonshore here, and we have our H. This is because it's teacher's table. So this is like a table with its own name. It's teacher's table. Board an bhúnseora. Rívara, computer. It doesn't mean laptop, it just means any computer. Rívara. Tabléid. That's quite like the English, isn't it, of tablet. Tabléid. Dirtle. That means sink. Dirtle. Okay, Arish, gach duine. Let me hear you say them. Clór bán. Clór bán idirghníomhach. Board an bhúnseora. Rívara. Tabléid. Dirtle. Scriosán, rubber or eraser. So the foamy erasers you use for the clór bán, you would also call these scriosán. So scriosán. Bureau, that's a sharpener or a parer. Bureau. Cás peann Louis, pencil case. Cás peann Louis. Quicheán, basket. Quicheán. And you'll see this again when you're learning about sport. You'll hear of a sport that's called quiche. Fella, basket, ball. Quicheán. Cópleabhar. Leabharlann, and I've also included another word. You could just say shelfanna, shelves. Leabharlann, library. Shelfanna, shelves. Okay, Dúnadh Versúla. Close your eyes. Dúnadh Versúla. Osclaigh Versúla. Cén ceann a thóg mé? Which one did I take? Thóg mé an rívara. Dúnadh Versúla arís. Osclaigh Versúla. Cén ceann a thóg mé? Thóg mé an cás peann Louis. Dúnadh Versúla arís. Osclaigh Versúla. Cén ceann a thóg mé? Thóg mé an scriosán. Dúnadh Versúla arís. Osclaigh Versúla, agus cén ceann a thóg mé? An gcuimhin leat, do you remember? Thóg mé an dirtle. Dúnadh Versúla arís. Osclaigh Versúla. Thóg mé an clór bán idirghníomhach. Dúnadh Versúla arís. Osclaigh Versúla, cén ceann a thóg mé? Cén ceann atá imithe? Which one is gone? Thóg mé an quicheán. Dúnadh Versúla arís. Osclaigh Versúla. Cén ceann a thóg mé? Thug me an cópleabhar. Okay, Anish. Feic an céad líne. Look at the first line. Agus déan seic tappy. Do a quick check. Chlórbán idir gníomhach, board an bhúntóra, river, a tablet, dirtle. Now, an féidir leat iad amnú. Can you name them? Céad ceann. First one. Chlórbán, dara ceann. Second one. Chlórbán idir gníomhach, tríú ceann. Third one. Board an bhúntóra, ceathrú ceann. Fourth one. Rivere, cúgú ceann. Fifth one. Tablet, séú ceann. Dirtle. Okay, Anish. Feic an dara líne agus déan seic anna tappy. Really quick. Scrushan, bureau, cospian Louis, Keyshawn, cópleabhar, leabharlan nó shelfanna. Okay. An féidir leat iad amnú. An seachtú ceann. Scrushan. An tuchtú ceann. Bureau. An níú ceann. Cospian Louis. An dethú ceann. Keyshawn. An céad ceann déag. That's the first of 10th, so that's how we say 11th. An céad ceann déag. Cópleabhar. An dara ceann déag. Leabharlan nó shelfanna. Okay, Nish, tá mé chun iad go léir a thógáil. Now, amnú iad go léir. I want you to name them all. Pause the video here, agus amnú iad go léir. More is féidir leat, if you can't do it, go back to the start and have a look again. Okay, now that we know the different parts of the room, we're going to talk about how we can say where things are. So we're going to start with egg. You're going to be used to egg from saying tá mé egg cuine, tá mé egg siopadóireacht, tá mé egg goire. Egg means adding the ing part. Shopping, playing, crying. But it also has another meaning, which means to have. So we say tá sé agam, I have it. Or the other one we use is to say at. So if you say tá sé ag an doras, you're saying he is at the door. So today we're going to look at egg meaning at. So, tá Roscoe egg. Roscoe is at. So cá bhfuil Roscoe. Tá Roscoe egg board an bhúntóra. So say it for me. Tá Roscoe egg board an bhúntóra. Roscoe is at teacher's table. Now, here's an important thing to note. Teacher's table is something that has like its own name. We're not saying Roscoe is at the teacher's table. We're just saying Roscoe is at teacher's table. So that's why we just use egg here. Tá Roscoe egg board an bhúntóra. But let's have a look here. Things are going to change. Inis níl Roscoe egg board an bhúntóra. Tá Roscoe egg. Well, where is he? Cá bhfuil sé? Egg an chlórbán idir gníomhach. Now we wouldn't say Roscoe is at interactive whiteboard. We would have to use the word the here, wouldn't we? So we would say tá Roscoe egg on. Roscoe is at the. So this is a really important thing to remember here. Whenever we need to say the, we're saying on. So tá Roscoe egg on chlórbán idir gníomhach. But there's another important thing we need to remember. When we use egg and on together, we end up having to use an uru. Now if you look down the bottom left here, you'll see our urus. And you'll remember these from when we were doing questions in the Aimsir Loihruk. They're those little letters that get stuck to the front of a word. So something that starts with a B gets an M. Something that starts with a C gets a G. Something that starts with a D gets an N. Something that starts with an F gets a B and a H. Something starting with G gets N. Something starting with P gets B. Something starting with D gets T, and all of the vowels get an N hyphen. You might call that a dash, but the correct word is a hyphen. N hyphen. So let's have a look now. Tá Roscoe Egon. Well, we know he's at the Clórbán idir Gníomhach. That starts with a what? So what ura would it get? Tá tú ceart. It gets a G. Tá Roscoe Egon Clórbán idir Gníomhach. Tá Roscoe Egon Clórbán idir Gníomhach. So we had to do two different things there. We had to add on to say it's the, and then because we had those two things coming together, we had to pick our uru, which was G. So, Cobble Roscoe Inish. Ooh, aha. So Neil Roscoe Egon Clórbán idir Gníomhach. Tá Roscoe Egg, well, what's this? Sink. Are we going to say Roscoe's at sink or Roscoe's at the sink? Of course, we need to do on. And because we're doing egg on, we have to find out what our uru is. And Dirtle starts with D, so our uru is N. Tá Roscoe Egon Nurtle. So can you try that for me? Tá Roscoe Egon Nurtle. Okay, Inish cá bhfuil sé. Aha. So Tá Roscoe Egg. Again, are we going to say Roscoe is at laptop or Roscoe is at the laptop? Tá tú ceart. Tá Roscoe Egg on. Egg on Rivra. Now have a look at the uru box. Is there an or there? No. Or doesn't get an uru. So we just say Tá Roscoe Egg on Rivra. We've no change here because or doesn't get an uru. So Tá Roscoe Egg on Rivra. Okay, cá bhfuil sé inish. Aha. Tá Roscoe Egg. Again, do we say Roscoe is at library? No. Tá Roscoe Egg on. And when we use egg on, we use an uru. Have a look at that box. He's at on Lowerland. Is there an L in there? No. They don't get urus. Tá Roscoe Egg on Lowerland. No uru necessary. Agus anish, Tá Roscoe Egg. Now, shelfina. Here we have another small change. He is at the shelves, so we need to use the. But in Irish, there is a different de when we're talking about plurals. So we're not saying Roscoe is at the shelf. We're saying Roscoe is at the shelves, a plural. And when we do that, instead of using on, we use na. And the great news when you're using na is egg on takes an uru, but egg na doesn't. So you don't even have to check the uru box for this. If you're saying something in the plural, Roscoe's at the shelves, you don't need to care about the urus because they never get them after na. So Tá Roscoe Egg na shelfina. Okay, so let's recap on that. Egg for at. If it's something that has a name, like teacher's table, we just say Tá Roscoe Egg board on Búnseora. If it's something that needs a the, like the interactive whiteboard, the sink, we have to say Tá Roscoe Egg on. And then we have to check and see if it gets an uru. Okay, now Inish, an céad ceann, the next one. Air. Air means on. So, Tá Roscoe Air on the teacher's table. So again, we're calling this teacher's table. We're not actually using the word the. So we just say Tá Roscoe Air board on Búnseora. Now you'll notice that board took a H there. It does that after the word air and after another one you'll notice in a minute. But what's important to note here is it's Tá Roscoe Air board on Búnseora. Roscoe is on teacher's table. We're not using the word de, so we don't have to use on. Now, Féach an seo. Roscoe is on. Well, it wouldn't really make sense for him to be on the whiteboard. So let's say he's on Nile. Tá Roscoe Air Nile. So think about this. Do we need on? Is he on the Nile or just on Nile? Just Nile. Tá Roscoe Air Nile. We're not saying the, so we don't use on. Okay, now cá bhfuil sé inish. Okay, so Tá Roscoe Air. He's on the sink. So again, if we're saying the, what do we need to include? Come on, shout it out for me. We need to include on. He's on the sink. And if we're doing air on, what do we need? Urus, that's right. What does sink start with? Dirtle. What letter? D. So what uru? N. Tá Roscoe ar an nurtle. Just the same as egg on nurtle, but we're saying he's on the, not at the. So tá Roscoe ar an nurtle. Okay, Anish. Well, we weren't going to put him on the laptop. Let's see him on this wall. So, is it Roscoe is on wall or Roscoe is on their wall? Yeah. So tá Roscoe ar an. We have to check our urus. Wall is bala, but bala. So, does that get an uru? Yes, it gets an M. Tá Roscoe ar an mala. Tá Roscoe ar an mala. Okay, Anish. Instead of the library, I thought we'd put him on this bridge. The Irish for bridge is drihad. Drihad. Can you check the uru box? Does get an uru? It does. So we'd say tá Roscoe ar an nrihad. Roscoe is on the bridge. Now, we talked about plurals in the last slide. So let's say, instead of saying he's on the bridge, we're going to say he's on these stones because they're stepping stones. So stones in Irish is clucha. So tá Roscoe ar na. So it's na because it's not a, because it's a plural. So it's not ar on, it's ar na clucha. And we don't need to put an uru in here because we don't put one in after na. If you check your box, you can see that clucha should get a G, but we're not putting on the G because it's na. And when we're doing the plural, we don't use the uru. Tá Roscoe ar na clucha. Okay, Anish, fui. Now what does fui mean? Under. So tá Roscoe fui. Just like the last ones, he's under teacher's table. We're not using de, so we just say tá Roscoe fui vord an múnseora. Just like the last one, a H happens here, but we don't need to use on. Tá Roscoe fui vord an múnseora. Now, Anish, call Will Roscoe. Okay, he's under the interactive whiteboard. Are we using the word de here? We are, so we need to say fui on. But in Irish, we don't really like to have two words with two vowels, a vowel at the end of one and a vowel at the start of the other coming together. It just doesn't sound very nice, fui on. So what we do is we kind of push them together and we change fui on to fuin. So tá Roscoe fuin. Now it still technically means fui on, so what do we get down here? That's right, an uru. So tá Roscoe fuin, clórbán idir gníomhach. That starts with a k, so what uru should it get? Check the box. Tá Roscoe fuin, clórbán idir gníomhach. Anawa. Okay, Anish cá bhfuil sé. Okay, so again, is he under basket or under the basket? The basket. So it's fuin, it's Keyshawn, Keyshawn. So check the box for the uru. Tá Roscoe fuin Keyshawn because it gets a G. Okay, cá bhfuil sé Anish. Aha, under the computer. So again, not under computer, under the computer. So we have to say fuin instead of just fui. So tá Roscoe fuin rivere. Now check the box. Rivere. Does it get an uru? No, we don't put an uru on an or. It's not one of our ones listed. So we just say tá Roscoe fuin rivere. Okay, cá bhfuil sé Anish. Now, he's under the pairers, a plural. So what should we say here? Fui na, because we use na is our the word when we're talking about plurals. So tá Roscoe fui na biorori. And again, once we use na, we don't have to worry about the urus. If you check the box here, B should get an M, but we don't put an uru on after na like this. So tá Roscoe fui na biorori. Forget about the urus. Okay, Kate Anella. Shin an Kian Darnett. This is our last one. Inaka le. Now, Inakala is quite similar to egg. Egg means at and inakala means beside. So sometimes this will be a better way to say it than saying he is at the table. It might be better to say he's beside. So let's have a look. Tá Roscoe inakala, and just like we said in all the other ones, we don't need to use the here. He's beside teacher's table. So Tá Roscoe inakala board on Woonchora. But Anish, he's beside the interactive whiteboard, so we do need to use on. Now again, do you remember in the one with Fween, we said we didn't like that when we had a letter ending with a vowel and a letter starting with a vowel coming together. So we get rid of le on and we change it into leshon. Leshon. So Roscoe inaka leshon, and I bet you can guess what's coming next. The urus. And what does Clorbon get? Gets G. Tá Roscoe inaka leshon Clorbon idir Genevach. Okay, Anish cá bhfuil sé? Okay, he's beside the sink. So again, we need lesh on to say there. Tá Roscoe inaka leshon nurtle. And you probably knew that was coming already. N for D. Okay, Anish cá bhfuil sé? Beside the computer. What does that start with? Or. Do you see or down here? No. Tá Roscoe inaka leis an rívere. We don't need an uru. Tá Roscoe inaka leis an leabharlann. Check the box. Is there an L there? There is not. L doesn't take an uru, so we can just say leis an leabharlann. Agus an ceann dearnach. Now he's beside the shelves. So I bet you know what's coming. If we're using the plural, we don't say leis an, we say leis na. Tá Roscoe inaka leis na shelfanna. Okay, I hope you noticed that pattern in all of those. Let's do one last thing to check our learning. Okay, so táimid chun na barnaí a lína isteach. I'm going to fill in these blanks. I think when you're doing your worksheets this week, it would be a good idea for you to pause the video on this screen at the very end, because I'm going to give you some helpful hints. And my helpful hints are a hain, a doe, a tree. Ivra hain. Have a look at it. Should this be egg, air, fui, or in akala? So are we at, on, under, or beside? Egg, air, fui, no in akala. The first question you need to ask yourself. An dara ceist de cur ort féin? On will on? No na aun. So am I using the word de? And if I am using the word de, is it on for one thing, or is it na for a plural? So sin an dara ceist, that's your second question. Agus an tríú ceist, ahrú, change. Do you need to make a change? So, do you need to change fui to fuin? Do you need to change le to leishan? Or do you need to put an uru on? So let's try this for our first one. Tá an cóplar beep Keyshawn. So what is it, guys? That's right, it's fui. Number one, which is it? It's fui. Is there an on? Well, it's the basket, so fui on Keyshawn. And is there a change? Number three. Yeah, we don't say fui on, we say fuin. And check your uru. Does it need one? Yes, it does. Tá an cóplar fuin Keyshawn. Let's look at the next one. Ask yourself the first question. Tá an leabharlann beep board on Woonchora. Well, is it egg, air, fui, or in akala? I'm going to say it's in akala. It's beside. Now, ceist do, second question. An will on no na aun. Do you need to use that the word? Well, here we said before, teacher's table kind of has its own name, doesn't it? So we don't need to use it. And the last question then, do we need to make any change? Well, if we're not using on or na, no. We won't end up turning something into fuin or leishan, and we won't end up having an uru. So it's just tá an leabharlann inaka le board on Woonchora. Okay, next one. Tá Roscoe beep rívere. So Ceiste hain, first question. Is it egg, air, fui, or inakale? Well, it could be inakale, but I think you're more likely to say someone is at the computer. So we're going to say egg. Tá Roscoe egg. Now, do we need to use on or na here? Is he at computer or at the computer? Yeah. So we have to say Tá Roscoe egg on. Now, let's look at our third question. Ahru, is there a change? Does egg on have to change into anything else? No. Does it get an uru? Yes, but have a look at the box. Does rivere that starts with an or take an uru? Nope. So it's just Tá Roscoe egg on rivere. Agus an ceann dearnach, the last one. Tá na cópleir beep shelfanna. Well, egg, air, fui, or inakale. That's right, air. They're on the shelves. On or na. So, are the copelars on shelves or on the shelves? That's right, they're on the shelves. Now, is that one shelf or a few shelves? It's a few shelves, so we'd use na. So, tá na copleir air na shelfanna. And our last one, is there any change here? Does air na turn into something else? No. And do we use an uru after na? No. Tá na copleir air na shelfanna. So I hope when you're doing your work this week, please stop and think for each one and ask yourself these questions. Number one, is it egg, air, fui, or inakale? Number two, do I need to use the word the here? On for one thing, na for plurals. And the last one is, and now do I need to make a change? Do I need to turn fui on to fuin, le on to lesh on, or do I need to stick an uru on? And remember, sometimes it will be a sentence that looks like it needs an uru, but when you check your uru box, you'll figure out, oh, well, that letter doesn't really get one. So, have a go at all of those this week. Good luck. Think hard. Be careful. See you later.